Hey friends, today we are going to make 2 loaves of delicious and easy sourdough bread. We're going to go from start to finish. So let's get started. So first we're going to do our initial mixing. We're going to use our trusted food scale. We're going to tare that out, which is basically just to zero it once we put the bowl on. I'm going to use a glass bowl so we can see the ingredients. Here we're going to add our flour. You can use a variety of different flours. Today I'm just using a white bread flour. We're going to add our warm water. You can see here I added a little bit too much, so I just took that out. Now friends, you can use a dough whisk here. I have one, I like it, but honestly I enjoy mixing it with my hands. It's a little stress reliever and I enjoy the process. You can see there that I scrape my hands with a bowl scraper. So right now we're going to let our flour and our water sit. We're going to cover this with a warm towel and let it sit for 30 minutes. This process is called autolyse. Basically it is hydrating the flour and allowing that gluten to go ahead and start developing. You can see here it's been 30 minutes and already that gluten is starting to develop. From here we're going to go ahead and add our remaining ingredients, which is salt and a mature starter. My starter's been fed and she is ready and raring to go. So we're going to add those here and mix those thoroughly with our hands. You can see that as I mix that, I am squeezing the batter together with my hands as I scrape the sides of the bowl. And every so often I'll go to the bottom as well, making sure I'm getting all the ingredients, incorporating that starter and that salt in with my flour and my water. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and start our series of stretch and folds. I spray my hand with a little bit of water there, and what I do is I reach down, pull the dough up, and fold it over on itself, striving to get to the other side of my dough ball. I'll do that 4 or 5 times, making sure I've gotten all the edges, flip my dough over, and we're going to go ahead, cover it with that warm towel, and let it sit for 30 minutes. I will typically do this, repeat this 3 to 6 times, depending on how my dough is looking. Here we go for our second round, and you can already see that the dough is getting a little less sticky, that gluten is developing, there is those amazing little gas bubbles that are forming. It's looking great. Alright guys, so at this point, we are going to pull our dough back after 30 minutes. We're going to start our final round of stretch and folds in the bowl. So I'm going to again pull that dough up. You can see how high that is stretching. That gluten is developing amazing. Their gas bubbles are looking good. So we're going to cover this for 30 more minutes, and then we're going to be ready to turn it out onto a lightly floured surface. You can see here that I'm using my bowl scraper to get every last little piece of deliciousness onto the counter. I'm going to go ahead and flour my hands. And I'm striving to form our ball of dough into a semi-uniform ball. This will allow me to eyeball it with my dough cutter and to cut equal pieces for each of our loaves. Now you can go ahead and use a food scale there if you'd like to. I've done that, it's great, but honestly I just eyeball it and I've never been disappointed with the outcome. So we're going to take our first ball of dough and stretch that out onto a surface. We're going to do our tuck and folds there, and then gently roll the ball of dough towards me and do the push and pull method right here. What we're doing is we're striving to get tension around the side of our ball of dough without pushing in too hard, without destroying those gas bubbles that are forming. So again, we're going to go ahead and tuck it over. You can see that it looks like we're being pretty rough here. This video is sped up. So I'm honestly not being too rough. We're being gentle with our little doughs. So we're going to go ahead, lightly flour those and cover them up and let them rest for 30 minutes. All right, so it's time to start the bulk ferment process. So we're going to go ahead and get our 2 floured Banneton baskets. I like to leave the liners in there. You can totally take them out, but be sure to flour them. You do not want your dough sticking to the inside of your basket. So I'm going to go ahead and move one of my balls of dough aside and do the final shaping for this loaf. I'm going to go ahead and gently spread this out, being careful not to hurt those gas bubbles. I'm going to go ahead and tuck that over and then roll that dough away from me. You can do it towards you, whatever side you're starting on. We're going to flour our hands and do the tuck and pull. Again, right here, we're being super gentle, just wanting to get tension around the outside of our ball of dough. When we're ready, we're going to go ahead and put that into our floured basket, seam side up. You can totally go ahead and pinch together any little edges that may be forming bumps. That's absolutely okay. We'll set that aside, and I will show you with this other ball of dough another way that I like to shape. Oh, be sure to flour the top of your ball, you guys. All right, so here's our second loaf. With this one, what I like to do is I just go ahead and grab the dough from around the edges, bringing them all into the middle and pinching all of those little sides together. You can see the outside of the ball of dough has tension. It looks smooth. If I flip it over, that looks great. We're going to go ahead and grab our dough scraper, flip it over, and again, put it into our basket, seam side up. We'll go ahead and do some final little pinchings, bringing those little edges together if I'm worried about it. And we'll grab our bowl covers. We're going to cover both of these and let them sit out for about 3 to 6 hours. And then we're going to do a cold ferment and place those into our fridge overnight. All right, friends, today is the happy day. So again, at this point, my dough has been in my fridge for 12 to 14 hours. At this point, we're going to take it out. We're going to put it onto a piece of lightly floured parchment paper, gently putting it out onto it, lightly flour on the surface. It's time to score and bake our bread. So you can get creative however you like in this process. I'm going to go ahead and do a wheat stalk down the middle and 2 leaf vines on either side. The important thing to remember is those deep cuts are to let the steam out, and the more shallow cuts are for decor. So my deep cut there is right down the middle. And again, you want this to be cold dough because it will score so much more easier. I'll show you a different way that I did this time. So this is our second loaf. I'm going to go ahead and do my deep cut initially, and it's going to be an S, basically right across the top. You want to make sure you have a sharp lom for this. Then I'll go ahead and do 2 leaf vines in different directions. I really loved how both of these turn out. Now, guys, at this point, my Dutch oven has been preheating in my oven at 500 degrees. We're going to pull that out, lift up our parchment paper, and place it inside. We're going to cover it back up, bake that at 450 degrees. Please note that we lowered the temperature. We're going to bake it at 450 degrees for 25 minutes, covered. At 25 minutes, we're going to take the lid off and bake those final 20 minutes without the lid, still at 450 degrees. Okay, and once your bread is done baking, be sure to cool it completely and then dig into it. This was wonderful. I loved how the air turned out. The crumb was amazing. It was perfect with some homemade tomato basil soup. I would love to hear in the comments how it worked out for you. This is our sourdough start to finish. We hope you'll join us on this sourdough journey. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment below.